for entertainment are the entertaining speaker mats. This project requires that you enjoy entertaining moments and subject other than the experience. And so Jack's speech tonight is the title, Let's Hop the Overnight Train. Welcome, Jack.
Thank you, Madam Postmaster, fellow Postmasters. I intend to galvanize your sense of humor tonight with this story. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did when I first heard it. And what you're going to hear from this point on is actually true. What I've learned in dealing with Australians in the last couple of years, I've been fortunate to be able to do tours with them, and they love to travel. Right, Lisa? They just love to travel. And one of their favorite places to travel is just north of Australia. It's, you know, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand, Singapore. I mean, they can get there quick and it's inexpensive. So this story is about my friends Nick and Pam who live in Australia and decided to go to Vietnam. And they're Pommies. They call themselves Pommies. That's what people that are British that live in Australia are called Pommies. So they went to Hanoi and Han Long Bay, and they're really enjoying Vietnam, and decided, instead of flying to Hue, where they were going to meet the rest of the group, that they would hop the overnight train and see some scenery. What they didn't know before they got on this train was that there was a monsoon on the way. So they get on the train, they eat a late lunch, a big lunch. They bring a couple of snacks and some water. It's an overnight trip. They're supposed to be off in the morning. And they hop on the train and off they go. And within 2 hours, the first hour right away, it starts raining and raining and raining, more heavy deluge. And they're starting to see floodwaters running down the hillside. And all of a sudden the train stops, and they found out, you know, because the people that work actually on the train don't speak English, but there were a couple of young girls that did speak English they could communicate with. They found out that there was a landslide blocking the train. So they had to wait for a little while. That did get cleared. They went on by. They actually were able to look out the window at it and wondered how it was staying there instead of coming back over the tracks again. But they got by it, and within the next hour were stopped again by another landslide. And then they found out, the engineer started to back the train up, and there's a high spot in the track, so they backed it up to a high spot, and the first landslide they went through came and covered the tracks again. So they were now covered in a monsoon rain storm between two landslides on the railroad tracks in Vietnam. 3 days and 2 nights. And they were supposed to be off the next morning. They were not, people that ran the train, they were not prepared at all for feeding these people. They got one lunch one day that was 10-minute rice noodles. And the second lunch, the second day, Pam, I remember her saying it looked like some really bad slop, but we were really hungry and it was hot, so we ate. And it turned out okay. The third morning, the rains started to cease, and the floodwaters, you could see them just roaring right by the train. They were stuck on they couldn't even get out. You couldn't walk. There was water flowing everywhere. And they saw two of the people on the train that worked on the train, like the conductors or whatever. They were out saving a pig in the floodwaters that was floating by. And they got the pig and they thought, that's a pretty nice gesture. So they saved that pig. Well, 10 minutes later, they hear this loud squealing noise and find out that guess who's coming to dinner. That same day, before they were served their fresh pork for lunch, who shows up? But the Vietnam military with boats to rescue everybody on the train, and they've got teepee crews with them. So they go to try to get on these boats, and the way Pam said it, due to some very large people, she said, Nick couldn't get on the boat and we got separated. So she gets on one boat and they take them across this raging river to get on a bus so that they can get back to the town that they're supposed to go to. Nick finally gets on another boat that comes in, and they're trying to cross the river. His boat catches on fire. They're floating down the river. They have to kill the engines and be rescued by another boat. And so he finally gets back over to Pam, meets her at the bus, where they're supposed to take this bus into town and go back to their hotel and take a shower. the roads were questionable. They had to wait a while. They finally got going, and they're coming down this hill. The bus slams into the military truck that was in front of them, becomes disabled, can't go any farther. The windshield's broken, starts to rain again. So they have to wait to be transported again. And what came were these smaller vans. Some were vans, some were smaller, like buses. And they got transported into those. Well, they ended up in a van. And as they were going down the roads had, tons of water flowing over them. Well, apparently this van died because the water got sucked up into the engine. So they were stuck in the middle of the highway. And all these cars are going around them, and every time the cars would go around them, the water would splash up on there and would open the door of the van. So Nick and this other guy had to stand there and hold the door shut while all these cars were going by and this water was splashing on them for about 45 minutes. Until finally a tow truck comes with another van and rescues them. They get in another van and they finally get back to town. Let's recap that real quick. Get stuck on a train between two landslides, get rescued by a boat because of flooding rivers. The boat catches on fire. They get back to the bus. The bus hits the military truck, and then the bus has to be transported. The transport bus gets stuck in the water and dies, and they're sitting there waiting for it. They finally get back to the hotel and met some of the other people on the trip. I found this story out from another Australian friend. He called me and told me the whole story, and I hadn't seen or talked to Nick or Pam yet. So I sent Nick an email. I said, "Hey Nick, I was thinking about taking a train trip through Vietnam. Just wondering what you thought about that, and if you guys want to join us." Well, I can't tell you what he said, but the answer was no. And then I had the opportunity while I was in Australia this year to sit with him and listen to him and Pam tell us the story, and it was hilarious. And they will always think twice again before they decide to jump on the overnight train. Thank you.